What's up YouTube, welcome back to another Genshin video. The Raiden Shogun has finally came to us in Genshin Impact, coming along with the 2.1 update. This video is going to be an easy guide on her playstyle, her abilities, her constellations, and who to put her with. Let's get right into the video. She's actually a character that has a lot of things going on with her. She's pretty complex. So I hope this video helps you out. Now let's get on with it. So the Raiden Shogun is actually a Polon user. I know many people thought she was going to be the sword user, I definitely did too. But she is actually a Polon user. So firstly, of course, let's check out her talents. Of course, she has a normal attack where she just performs 5 strikes with her spear. And she has a charge attack. And next, her elemental skill, which as you can see from this long paragraph, it has a lot going on with it. So her elemental skill states that the Raiden Shogun unveils a shard of her Euthymia, dealing electro damage to nearby opponents and granting nearby party members the Eye of Stormy Judgment. Now, the Eye of Stormy Judgment is actually when characters with this buff attack and deal damage to opponents. The Eye will actually release a coordinated attack dealing AoE electro damage. So basically like Xingqiu. Also, characters who gain the Eye of Stormy Judgment will have the elemental burst damage increased based on the energy cost of the elemental burst. The Eye can coordinate an attack every 0.9 seconds. Coordinated attacks generated by characters not controlled by you deal 20% of the normal damage. So basically, as you have an elemental skill up, you'll do coordinated attacks like you have Xingqiu, but also the elemental burst of your teammates will be increased. So basically, you get more damage percentage based on how high the energy cost is for the character. For example, Zhongli will get the most damage out of this because the energy cost is 80. But Kaya will actually get less than Zhongli's because his energy cost is only 60. And here's the scalings if you want to see it. It's actually 0.29% damage bonus per energy of the burst. Has a duration of 25 seconds and a cooldown of only 10 seconds, so you have a lot of time with this Eye of Stormy Judgment effect. And now time for the talent that makes her just look really cool. Her elemental burst, Secret Art Muso Shinsetsu? I don't know. The Raiden Shogun unleashes the Muso no Hitachi and deals AoE electro damage, using her sword in combat for a certain duration afterwards. The damage dealt by the sword is actually increased by the number of resolve stacks you have when you use this skill. And down here, if you don't know what resolve points are, when nearby party members excluding Raiden Shogun herself use the elemental burst, the Shogun will build up resolve stacks based on the energy cost of the people who use the burst. So again, people like Zhongli will gain the most resolve stacks for the Raiden Shogun instead of someone like Kaya. The maximum amount of resolve stacks you'd have is 60, and the resolve stacks will be cleared 300 seconds after the Raiden Shogun leaves the field. So just as an example, you see this giant ring on the back of my character's back? Basically, as you do elemental burst, this ring will fill up. So I'm gonna use Zhongli, and that filled it up to nearly half. And I'm gonna use Kaya, and you can see it keep building up and building up. And they're gonna now have the max resolve stacks on the Raiden Shogun. Now time for elemental burst state. While in her elemental burst, her normal charge and plunging attacks will be infused with electro damage, which cannot be overwritten. So you can actually use this with C6 Bennett if you accidentally C6 your Bennett. When her attacks hit opponents, she will generate energy for all nearby party members. Energy can be restored this way once every 1 second. And this effect can be triggered 5 times throughout the skill's duration. While in the state, the Raiden Shogun's resistance to interruption is increased, and she is immune to electro charge reaction damage. While the elemental burst is active, the Raiden Shogun's normal charge and plunge attacks damage will be considered elemental burst damage. Also, the effects of her elemental burst will be cleared when Raiden Shogun leaves the field. So while she's in this cool state, she generates energy for your team and infuses a lot of electro into her. And it's all considered elemental burst damage. As you can see from the scalings, she has her own scaling for the elemental burst. The base damage of 641% when she first pulls it out, and then the resolve bonus based on how many stacks of resolve you have. So it's really good for some artifacts. This is all considered burst damage. But it really sucks because I actually learned that her burst does not work with Beto's ult. Since it's all considered burst damage and not normal attacks, the charge attacks or plunging, Beto's will not proc with her. So keep that in mind when you're trying to build a team with the Raiden Shogun. Also, her energy cost is 90, which I believe is the highest energy cost of the game. But really, that won't really matter because you're going to want to build a whole lot of energy recharge on her anyway. And she gains a whole bunch of energy just from her passives alone. And honestly, you might not even have to level up her normal attack. If you want to run her a sub DPS, you could actually just level up her elemental skill and elemental burst, since her elemental burst has her own scaling entirely. So if you want, you could actually only level up her elemental skill and elemental burst. Maybe if you do want to level up her normal attack, you can. But honestly, for me, I'm probably just going to be leveling up these two. Well, if I get it. Her first passive is basically when you grab a particle, she gains 2 resolve stacks, so it can occur every 3 seconds. So basically 3 resolve stacks when you pick up some orbs. Her next passive talent basically does a whole bunch of free damage and energy restoration. Each 1% above 100% energy recharge gives her more electro damage bonus and greater energy restoration. So she's really good at charging herself up and her teammates up, and if you build energy recharge, you get a crap ton of electro damage built onto you. And her last talent is more expended while sending swords and polearms is decreased by 50%. So she's a more saver as well. Now let's get into her constellations. Her first constellation is basically, she'll gather more resolve even faster when electro characters use the elemental burst. The resolve gain is increased by 80%. Also, when characters of other elemental types use the elemental burst, the resolve gain is increased by 20%. So basically, if you build her with some more electro teammates, when you have C1, you will just get more resolve points, which is welcome. Now Constellations 2 is actually insane. Basically, her burst will ignore 60% of defense, which is really good. Just ignore 60% of the defense, so her burst will do a lot of more damage if you have the Constellation 2. Her Constellation 3 just increases the elemental burst. Constellation 4 is when she's in her burst, all nearby party members excluding Raiden Shogun gain 30% attack bonus for 10 seconds. So she can boost your team's damage as well, if you have Constellation 4. So I'd say pop all your people's burst and then go into the burst state with her. Constellation 5 increases the elemental skill level. And Constellation 6 is while in her burst state, attacks by the Raiden Shogun that are considered part of an elemental burst will decrease all nearby party members, not including the Raiden Shoguns, elemental burst cooldown by 1 second when they hit opponents. This effect can trigger once every 1 second and trigger a total of 5 times during her burst. So you have C6, you will decrease the burst cooldown of all your other teammates as well. So all in all, I'd say that her constellations are pretty good, but if you are going for constellations, I'd say that Constellation 2 is a good starting point because this was just insane. Now her best weapon is probably going to be the engulfing lightning as you see right here. But wait a minute, we are going to get a free pole arm that also has an energy recharge substat that also increases elemental burst damage and crit. So it might even be better than this pole arm right here. But we don't know since it's not out yet, but I'll keep you guys updated if it turns out to be better. The best artifacts for Raiden Shogun is obviously going to be the 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate set. Just it gives her more energy recharge and increases the elemental burst damage, because remember, her sword is burst damage. Increases the elemental burst damage based on the number of energy recharge you have. So that is definitely going to be the best set ever in game for the Raiden Shogun. But if you don't have enough luck to get the 4-piece Severed Fate, then this set bonus that we have here is good as well. 2-piece Emblem Severed Fate and 2-piece Thundering Fury could also be good. Also for the artifacts, you want to put on a lot of energy recharge on the Raiden Shogun because she scales amazingly with it. And of course, you do want crit damage and crit rate and attack percentage. I would prioritize energy recharge at the top and then go crit damage and then crit rate. Sorry if that was a lot to take in, especially for her talents. She just has a lot going on with her. So first I'm going to show you how to play her, and then we're going to go to the team building. Okay, so we're going to walk on in. We're going to pop the R2. And then you see this lightning strike that we get every few seconds thanks to R2. And then I'm actually going to put up all the burst first to gain all of the resolve. And then we use the elemental burst, which just looks so cool. And then he just does beats on him. Just so much damage all around. Her charge attack, just that little like slice in the air. It looks so nice. And as soon as the thing's gone, that's when you want to switch off to other characters. And then you want to build back your resolve stacks. And then switch back to the Raiden Shogun. And then just go ham. Use a charge attack. So basically you want to swap in and out with the Raiden Shogun, and then when you have your elemental burst, just go absolutely crazy with her attacks. And don't forget to max out your resolve stacks before you use her burst so you can get the most damage out of it. Now let's get into the team building. So as you can see, she is definitely a good support and sub DPS character, giving your team a lot of energy recharge and proccing a lot of electro. So maybe you have a Eula and you want to put Raiden Shogun to increase the Eula's energy recharge and pop superconduct, since Eula does have a pretty high energy cost for a burst. She just seems like a good battery for any character no matter the element, but especially for electro characters. And of course the new 4-star that came out, Kujo-Sora, could also be a good pair with the Raiden Shogun, because they buff electro, get the electro affinity, and Kujo-Sora increases attack your whole entire team. I'll be making a video on Kujo-Sora very soon, so if you want to see that, make sure you stay tuned. Also, if you pair up with someone like Zhongli, pop the shield and decrease the elemental resistance, and then pop her burst, it will also be insane for her. You can also put in a lot of 4-star teams. You can use Sukos and start swirling them up, and then use your burst to help them together, and then use the Raiden Shogun's burst to start slicing and dicing. Of course, you can use Bennett. You also want to have people who have high burst cost. So especially putting her up with someone like Zhang Ling that has an energy cost of 80 on a burst, she will get the most damage out of it and help your other teammates do a lot more damage. You might want to also put her with a whole lot of off-field characters. For example, this team right now, the Zhang Ling and Kaya, turn out to work really well with Raiden Shogun because they can pop their burst, increase the elemental resolve stacks, and then switch to Raiden Shogun and use her burst with the max stacks and just go absolutely crazy. The only disappointing thing is that her burst only actually lasts 7 seconds while you're in her sword state. So you only have 7 seconds to put out as much damage as you can. But that also does make her a great sub DPS. Have your main DPS and your supports generate a whole bunch of resolve stacks for her, then switch to her for 7 seconds, let her slice and dice, and then generate even more energy for your team. So all in all, the Raiden Shogun is a very fun and unique character. It has a lot of things going for it. She can buff your team, increase the energy recharge, and deal massive electro damage on the field for a few seconds. She's really unique and has a lot of things going for it inside of her kit. And also, she looks nice. But that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you know how to build her. She's actually pretty easy to build, because there's a lot of other energy recharge staffs as well. So if you want the Favonius Lance as a good weapon, or maybe one of the Forgeable Spears as well. As long as it's got energy recharge, it might as well be pretty good for the Raiden Shogun. And to recap, you definitely want to try to get 4-piece Emblem of Seventh Fate, and you want to pair up with people that are off-field and have a high energy cost. Or maybe if you want to put her to sub DPS, put her in with like a Eula or something that can proc a lot of element, so you can pop a lot of elemental reactions and then swap to her when her burst is up. Also, I might be rolling for her, so I might make a video like that in the future. I'm still on the fence. She's really fun, but like, I just don't know. I probably should just do it anyway. But yeah, that's all for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one when I make more guides on the new characters. Bye bye bye.